For Christians, the Advent and Christmas season. This is supposed to be the most festive time of the year. For Jews, the joyous light of Hanukkah. Schools, well, they're wrapping up the semester. Parties, oh, they're every night, galore. But over the weekend, from Providence to Sydney to LA and all the way to Syria, things turned dark and tragic. And we have all the breaking news tonight. Legendary Hollywood director and actor Rob Reiner and his wife brutally murdered in their home in Brentwood. Their son Nick, who has a history of addiction, is in custody. In Syria, U.S. troops ambushed 2 soldiers and an American interpreter, killed. In Australia, a father and son duo unleashed a spray of bullets on a Hanukkah celebration, 15 gunned down there. A hero civilian risked his own life to tackle one of the suspects.
Oh! Ça merde! Oh non, gros! Oh! Ouais, mais il y a son pote, il va se faire tirer dessus.
And a terror plot thwarted in multiple cities across the United States.
These bombs were to blow up at the same time on midnight.
But we start tonight at Brown University, where a frantic manhunt is underway.
Hands. Everybody get your hands. Hands. Just keep your hands up for us. Obviously, there's something going on. We're here to help you.
2 students were killed, 9 injured after a gunman burst into an engineering classroom. Police arrested a person of interest yesterday, but hours later they released him. Now, more than 48 hours now have passed, and there's still no one in custody. And it seems that police may be in over their heads. Late today, in a contentious press conference, authorities finally released new videos of the suspect from 2 hours before the shooting. Now, you can see him walking down the sidewalk, sort of hovering near a fence, wearing dark clothes, a hat, and a mask. In another video, he's walking faster, crossing the street. But we still don't have video of the suspect entering the classroom, in a hallway, going up a staircase, getting on and off campus. Are there no videos? Apparently there aren't. Well, if there are videos, they haven't been released. But we've entered the 3rd day since this horrific violence. It shattered what is a calm and kind of, everyone's anticipating the end of the semester and campuses across the country, but especially in a place like Brown. Students Ella Cook and Mohammed Aziz Umrozkov were dead, and their killer is on the loose. Cook was a sophomore from Birmingham, Alabama, and the vice president of Brown's College Republicans. Her reverend described her as a bright light in the church and in her community. And Umrozkov was an 18-year-old freshman from Uzbekistan studying biochem and neuroscience. He wanted to be a brain surgeon. Naturally, Rhode Islanders are on edge.
That's just really heartbreaking, and it's been really difficult to process.
I think it's going to forever change the layout of the school, the safety of the school.
When the shooting happened, it took 4 hours to get even a single video of the perpetrator released. And the fact that we're in such a surveillance state, but that wasn't used correctly at all is just so deeply frustrating.
Yeah, extremely. So questions are swirling tonight. Why did the state and the FBI zero in on the wrong guy for hours? That was precious time lost. And how is it that cameras aren't in the hallways or in the doorways on campus that has spent millions of dollars on campus surveillance and security?
Fox News alert. There's a manhunt underway for the shooter who left 2 dead and 9 wounded at Brown University Saturday. Students were holding a study session for finals when a masked man entered the lecture hall armed with a long gun and started firing. Here's an eyewitness.
I was standing in the front, so as soon as he walked in, he immediately saw me and I immediately saw him. And then I look to my right and I see a bunch of students running down the stairs, running out the door, jumping on the ground, just whatever it takes to stay alive. When I saw him, I saw a gun. I genuinely thought, like, okay, this is the end of the road for me.
How soon did he start shooting after he entered the room?
He just started shooting right away. There was no hesitation.
That guy and about 20 other students ducked behind a long desk inside the auditorium and just waited for the gunshots to stop. The AP says around 40 rounds were fired. This went down around 4:05 Saturday afternoon in Rhode Island. Brown University didn't send out an alert until 17 minutes later, telling students to shelter in place. And not a single one of the sirens on campus went off. Apparently, the Providence police and campus safety officers didn't make it to the scene of the crime in time to apprehend the shooter. Students were locked down for 9 hours, crouching underneath desks, barricading themselves behind their beds, texting "I love you" to their family, while police went door to door. At 6 a.m. the following day, Brown lifted the lockdown. One of the victims was 19-year-old sophomore Ella Cook. She was the vice president of Brown's Republican Club, an Alabama native who was a devout Christian. Her pastor described her as a tremendous bright light, and she may have been the most prominent Republican on campus. Brown's considered the most liberal of all the Ivy League schools, so any members of the college Republicans would be very well known.
The family of Ella Cook, the Alabama young woman who was a sophomore, has been told that she was the target of what happened at Brown. I have no idea whether that's true.
And the other thing is, if the police are telling Brown students that they are safe, they don't have to shelter in place anymore, but they don't have a suspect in custody, I think that also suggests that this was some kind of targeted attack.
Well, we haven't confirmed that yet, but Primetime's investigating. We're also hearing that the shooter may have screamed something before he opened fire. We haven't confirmed that, and police have been very coy.
There's a report the shooter yelled something right before his shot came in. Could you tell us what that was?
Yeah, it's part of the investigation.
Is there anything else inside that auditorium that you could tell us?
No,
did he yell though? Did he say something?
That's something that we're investigating. We took statements and we have to confirm.
Is there any audio from the scene? Any cell phones? There are a lot of cell phones there.
We're gonna wrap it up here.
So a guy walks into an Ivy League building, lets off 40 rounds, murders 2 people, walks out, and 3 days later, we have no idea where he is or who he is. I guess we're assuming it's a he, but we don't even know that for sure. And police won't even say if it's a man or a woman. Police thought they had their suspect, a white Army veteran.
Now someone's in custody. Kind of how you all are working together to garner that information.
Custody is the wrong word.
Someone being detained, rather.
Correct.
But late last night, they said, oops, wrong guy.
Shortly, we will be releasing the person of interest who had been detained earlier today.
Providence Mayor Brett Smiley isn't even sure releasing this guy was the right call.
So you're absolutely convinced the person of interest had nothing to do with this?
We're not saying that definitively. What we're saying is that after a review of the evidence that was gathered, it was determined that the person of interest needed to be released.
CBS is reporting that investigators had to restart the investigation after early missteps that cost them several hours. As things stand tonight, Rhode Island doesn't seem to have any leads. The FBI is offering a $50,000 reward for any tips that could lead to an arrest. And moments ago, officials held a presser to release new images of the suspected shooter, sporting all black threads with a beanie and a face mask, walking on a sidewalk in the vicinity of the shooting. This was recorded a couple hours before the shooting, so it looks like it was premeditated and this person was casing the area. These are the clearest surveillance videos that we have so far, and there's not much to go on. All I can say is we can probably rule out a black guy. We're looking at a chubby, white, Hispanic, or Muslim male, about medium height. Even with the new surveillance out, the police won't tell us anything.
Is there a new description you can give us?
There is, and it will be on that poster that we're going to be releasing on the images.
Okay, so millions of people were watching the police chief live, and he said he'd put it out online. Why wouldn't he just tell us? Well, we checked online, and 2 hours later, he said the suspect is light-skinned and stocky. Brown University has over 800 security cameras across campus. Cameras are located in campus buildings and walkways and public streets, but not a single camera got a clear shot of this guy going into the building or leaving the building. And Police Chief Oscar Perez has been confused from the jump.
Brown University is the most camera-ridden, most conscious piece of real estate in Rhode Island, and yet there seems to be little or no video evidence outside of that clip. Is there a lot more video that we're just not able to see yet because of the ongoing investigation, or is there simply no video?
So what we shared with you the other day is what we have.
Okay. We have high-resolution cameras for speeding tickets, but not for mass shooters at Ivy League schools. Brown's tuition is $70,000 a year. The school's endowment is $8 billion. And someone just walked on campus, murdered 2 students, and got away. And the president of the university is playing catch-up.
President, with all due respect, 6 hours after the shooting, and you said you don't know what was going on in that classroom, how does that happen? Were they taking an exam? Were they meeting for a club?
I don't know. I don't know.
6 hours later, you're the president, and you don't know.
I do not know.
So, that's kind of concerning.
Trump says Brown dropped the ball, but the FBI is there if they need them.
They had their own guards, they had their own police, they had their own everything, but you'd have to ask that question really to the school, not to the FBI. We came in after the fact.
The FBI doesn't have jurisdiction over this case. When the locals ask for help, they'll help, but the locals are running this investigation. And even the local media has had it with their leadership.
President Donald Trump has said that Brown University is to blame for this shooting, saying it's the school's problem. Is that a fair criticism, or do you disagree with what the president said?
I don't think it's fair criticism.
Colonel, can you expand on that?
Why not? Because Brown University is not collaborating with you guys. You're lying to the press over here. They have facial recognition. We know that because they follow the students, they follow everybody in the neighborhood. Facial recognition. They need to release that data to everybody know who the guy is in video. We got the video Saturday. Why you guys release the video today?
I think I answered the question.
Wow. It's been 72 hours. This guy could be anywhere by now. The FBI is going to have to come in and do their thing. But Providence is on edge. They're being told to remain calm, but don't have a lot of confidence in city officials.
There's been no new, credible, specific threat anywhere in the Providence community.
With respect, Mayor, there was no threats made prior to the shooting, so how can people feel safe with that information?
The way in which we are trying to reassure our residents is through a noted, visible police presence throughout the community.
The shooter could still be in Providence, or he could be in Virginia. Mayor Smiley says he went to go look for him at a pizza joint and grabbed a slice while he was on the clock.
I talked to one of the women at Antonio's, which some of you know is a pizza by the slice joint, and she said, I didn't want to come to work today, but I needed to work. I needed to take the shift, and that's a very real thing happening in our community right now.
The best video we have of this guy is a Ring camera shot where you can't see his face, but Mayor Smiley says he just wants to go to bed.
Everyone you see behind us, we've all been working for now 49 hours. We're tired.
Tired? 2 students are dead, 9 in the hospital, and you have no clue what happened. Smiley wasn't tired when he was marching for gay pride or fighting Trump.
The question is whether actions like this will actually help us get to zero. I don't think they will. Community policing works. Having local law enforcement with a relationship with the neighborhoods that they are policing and patrolling works. Sending in National Guards men and women who have not been trained in urban policing, are not trained community police officers, isn't going to make our cities any safer.
Imagine if they had the National Guard in Providence. That shooter probably wouldn't have opened fire. The Rhode Island Attorney General, all he does is sue Trump and resist ICE. And his office is completely out of control. His assistant is the lawyer who got intoxicated last summer and assaulted officers, remember?
I don't want to arrest you guys.
You're not going to arrest us. I'm an AG. I'm an AG.
Good for you. I don't give a
I'm an AG. I'm an AG. I'm an AG. But you're going to regret this.
Yeah.
You're going to regret it. I'm an AG.
What kind of office is this guy running? Families want answers. Hundreds of students just fled campus. The city's on a brink. And the locals are whining that they're tired. Every day the manhunt goes on, the less likely it is to get justice. Let's hope they crack this case. If you have any information, please reach out to the FBI and the Providence Police Department.
We'll bring it to you live. We do continue to pray for all of the victims, all of their families tonight. Everyone needs to take a very close look at all of these events tonight on multiple continents, and we need to reflect on what is happening here. It is very clear that the United States and the world have returned to a pre-9/11 mindset. Let's go back to 9/11/01. 2,977 Americans killed that day. Many more killed from 9/11 related illness that is very real. Now, if you go back to the 9/11 Commission report, they did conclude the following. Radical Islamists were at war with the United States. They list all the examples that led up to 9/11, and we were not at war with them. We let our guard down. Tonight, that admonition appears to be all but forgotten. Radical Islamists, they are at war with Western civilization on multiple continents, as we are reporting. And sadly, as we all know too well, what happened here in Sydney is not an isolated incident. Here is the cold, hard truth that a lot of people do not want to say. This is all the predictable result of radical Islamists. Year after year, decade after decade, we see the same thing. No matter the country, no matter the laws, no matter the local population, generosity, if you import radical Islamists with their open borders policies, if you have no vetting to see if they have radical associations, if you embrace liberal immigration policies, or in the case of Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, wide open borders, terrorism will almost inevitably follow. How many times have I said on this program, not a matter of if, it is when we will be the victim of another terrorist attack. Innocent people will die. They will have blood on their hands, but people don't have to die. It's the most preventable national security disaster, the 4 years of Biden-Harris in our country's history. In Germany, a recent terror attack at a Christmas market thankfully was thwarted after multiple similar attacks in previous years. Now, Christmas markets across Europe, all across Europe, they have had open borders, very liberalized immigration policies. They have now all been fortified with armed guards, reinforced infrastructure, anti-vehicle ramming installations instead of, Christmas lights and big crowds and fun and singing and caroling, and other critical security measures take its place. They're turning joyful Christmas markets into forts. Why? Because of their radical Islamists that they welcomed with open arms into all of these European countries, and right here in this country, but Europe in particular, decades of open immigration policies. That includes the continent of Australia as well. Paris is even now reportedly canceling their in-person New Year's Eve bash that draws millions every year, all because of the threat of terrorism and the rise of violent extremism that they have allowed to enter their country unvetted. And don't for one second think that we in this country are immune from that risk. We don't even know half of who Biden, Harris, Mayorkas led into this country. According to the National Counterterrorism Center, as testified in Congress last week, as a matter of fact, there are 18,000 known suspected terrorists that are currently living right now in the United States. What do you think they're doing? I would argue they're probably plotting and planning and scheming an attack on our homeland. And after 4 years of Biden open borders, that number probably doesn't even scratch the surface. How do you calculate those that, the gotaways that we don't even know exist, supposedly? And that's not all. According to the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, again, last week, she reported at least 2,000 so-called Afghan refugees that Biden let into the country. 2,000 of those have terrorism ties. And now the risk profile around the world is even worse. Since the 2023 October 7th attacks, anti-Semitism, it has exploded. It has gone unchecked around the world. It has gone unchecked in the halls of Congress. It has gone unchecked on college campuses. Radical anti-Semites have used Israel as an excuse to openly hate Jews and call for, quote, global Antifada. Sound familiar? Or globalize the Antifada. In fact, just 2 days after Jewish people were brutally attacked and abducted by Hamas, this is October 9th, 2023, radical Islamists in Australia took to the streets outside of the famous Sydney Opera House, chanting, "Where are the Jews? Gas the Jews. F the Jews." Take a look. In light of that, after October 7, 23, does what happened over the weekend shock you? Australia's government largely turned a blind eye to this horrific, unacceptable behavior and continued to welcome hardline Islamists into their country. As Miranda Devine eloquently put it in the New York Post today, Australia allowed Jewish hatred to fester with cowardly appeasement and foolish immigration decisions. Now, just days after one of the worst terror attacks in Australia's history, the country's prime minister, who allowed a lot of this to happen, is inexplicably more worried about right-wing extremism. Really? Take a look.
The Director General of ASIO has warned about a range of threats, be it anti-Semitism, the rise of right-wing extremist groups as well. And we continue to work closely with our security agencies.
This is insane. In other words, nothing in Australia is going to change while he is their leader. And the immigration policies, they will stay the same, but it will probably be even harder for law-abiding citizens in Australia to protect themselves with the firearm. There's strict firearm laws there. My message to Australia, my message to Western Europe, my message to our fellow countrymen here in our country, wake up. Radical Islamists, they are still at war with our very way of life. ISIS continues to lash out. 2 of our brave soldiers ambushed and murdered in Syria. Thankfully, President Trump, somebody understands radical Islamism. You know, he's taken swift action to fight back. Now, we saw this in his last term. He took out Soleimani, Baghdadi, and associates, obliterated ISIS from the air. He dropped the mother of all bombs on Afghanistan. What do they all have in common? Oh, radical Islamists. This year, he took the boldest action to eliminate a nuclear-armed Iran, especially with their radicalism. Far too many Americans. Well, we're going to go to this press conference. It's in Sydney. Let's take it live, and we'll continue on the other side.
Yes! Happy holidays! Don't forget to try my mistletoe eggnog. Happy Monday, everyone. On Sunday, former President Joe Biden went to see the Eagles play in Philadelphia. He left extremely disappointed after being there for 5 hours and not hearing them play Hotel California. Biden's presidential library reportedly received a very few donations in 2024. But on a positive note, at least they broke ground on his other project.
Oh, God.
I don't get it. I don't get it. It's just a hole of dirt. President Trump spoke at the White House Christmas party over the weekend. He then asked Pete Hegseth to please stop trying to blow up everybody's Uber. That was a filler. Minnesota Congresswoman Ilhan Omar claims her son was pulled over by ICE agents and asked to prove his citizenship. And when the son berated the cops saying, "Do you know who my dad is?" they said, "Yes, your uncle." Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker has just approved a law legalizing assisted suicide in Chicago. I guess that means he will allow people to walk outside.
Oh my God, that's good.
Zootopia 2 is #1 at the box office and has made $1 billion worldwide. Meanwhile, Animal Farm is set to be released, marking a watershed year for talking beasts. Democrat Benjamin Shower announced he is running for the Iowa House. It's the first house he plans to enter that doesn't start with the word waffle. We needed that picture. And finally, the guy's like 800 pounds. And finally, a bar in North Carolina is offering women free drinks if they bring a picture of the man who cheated on them. Oddly enough, they all keep bringing in the same picture. All right, I'm going to do my monologue. In her acceptance speech for the Walter Cronkite Award, Rachel Maddow announced the story of our age. And it's not immigration, AI, or even Sydney Sweeney's knockers. It's protesting against Trump.
But there's no way that we could do national media coverage of the remarkably decentralized protests against the Trump administration without our partners in local news, without some of the geniuses in this room today. The story of our age, I really believe, the story of our democracy right now is not a Washington story. And it is not easy to cover. But right now, it is the most important story in the world.
All right, Steve. Yeah, she called those in the room geniuses. Sorry, the only genius is you, Rachel, for getting paid a ton of money for working 1 day a week, just like the team that waxes my back. She tells her fellow hacks that the most important story right now is opposing Trump, not the Biden cover-it, the migrant catastrophe, the fentanyl epidemic. If she were on the Titanic, she'd be pushing the benefits of an ice plunge. It is telling that the truly big stories that somehow don't matter are exactly the same ones she completely missed. But she avoids truth the way Jerry Nadler's staffers avoid skid marks on the couches.
Oh, man.
Hell, her getting an award for journalism is like crowning Kathy Griffin Miss USA. But what if she's right? That protesting Trump is the only thing that matters. For her industry, it's been true for years. But Maddow's track record should make them all reconsider that assumption. Let's casually run through her notable predictions. Who can forget the classic "Trump is a Russian asset," breathlessly connecting dots that didn't exist? Remember this?
This guy Kalimnik keeps turning up again and again. Konstantin Kalimnik, Konstantin Kalimnik, Konstantin Kalimnik, Konstantin Kalimnik. He's still Russian military intelligence. Kalimnik, a short man who goes by Kostya. Konstantin Kalimnik, investigating Konstantin Kalimnik for espionage. This guy Konstantin Kalimnik is the key that unlocks that door. It seems like it would have to be.
You know, that's not sound analysis. It's the rantings of someone who sees the Virgin Mary in her cornflakes. She also said Joe Biden was doing just fine because, you know, he rides a bike.
The fact of his age is not something you can rebut. You can't tack to, if someone says you're too far left, you can tack to the center. The man is 80 years old.
He rides a bike.
He is the age he is, and so it's.
Does she not remember that he fell off the bike? You know, lady, Biden would come in third place in a game of tic-tac-toe. She even dismissed the idea that Joe would drop out of the race as fantasy. He dropped out a month later. Of course, she said that there was no problem on Biden's border. She warned that MAGA election officials would refuse to certify results and plunge the country into chaos. She then predicted Trump's second term would collapse within 100 days and openly mused about Americans being rounded up into internment camps. As of late 2025, none of this has happened, and the only camps that exist are the homeless ones on the sidewalks of every blue city in America. But none of this matters because Maddow isn't paid to be right. She's paid to keep a dwindling audience from giving up altogether. She sells a drug to a shrinking mass, but along the way, she got hooked on the fumes. And yet here she is, honored, celebrated, canonized by people as wrong as she is. She broke no stories. Instead, she only broke her brain and those of others who listened to her. But She did the job she was supposed to do. She wasn't questioning power. She was insulating it. On the left, accountability is non-existent. What matters is loyalty. You don't get fired for being wrong, but you get promoted for service to the cause. And that means distributing the marching orders to your minions. Ignore everything else, including stories that actually cost lives. That's the biggest story of all. Can you imagine being a journalist in America and stating in public, with no fear of being held accountable, that your goal is to stop one political side over the other? And you're worshipped by a corrupt, closed loop where mistakes are memory hold, narratives outrank reality, and awards are handed out like condoms at a Hunter Biden pool party. Hello. Yeah. Maddow is honored because she was wrong, reliably providing an alternative reality to a circle jerk of self-congratulators that's getting smaller by the day. So maybe it's right to call it the Walter Cronkite Award, because they're as dead as he is. Let's welcome tonight's guest. He's currently auditioning for a Balance of Nature commercial. Fox News contributor Tom Shalhoub. As a sports reporter, she's seen more six-packs than Kamala Harris. Host of the Michelle Tavoya podcast. Michelle Tavoya. Well, he'll steal your heart and then your car. Comedian Sherrod Small. Yeah. And she was the baton on the high school track team. New York Times bestselling author and Fox News contributor Cat Tube. Tom, what did you make of her choice for the biggest story of the ages?
Oh, it's remarkable. I mean, is it even a story at all? She's talking about people protesting Trump, which has been going on since Trump has been a politician. So it's ridiculous. I was thinking about, I'm glad you made a swipe there at Cronkite, essentially, at the end there, because people always act as if Cronkite was, from the center. I always hear people saying it, and even some of our viewers, people on the right say, in the old days that Walter Cronkite, he used to throw him straight over the plate. It was never straight over the plate. Right. Walter Cronkite was always liberal. The reason they never shut up about Walter Cronkite is because they long for the days when the elites controlled all of the conversations in this country. I looked at the Cronkite Award, where it came from. Annenberg Center. Okay, left-wing group. They try to pretend they're a media group. They're not. They're a total left-wing group. And the Norman Lear Foundation. These are the two people that fund this. So it makes no mistake. If you look back through the recipients that get it, it's always left-wing people. So this year it was Rachel Maddow and Jon Stewart. The whole thing is ridiculous. And I am glad that they no longer have a stranglehold on the conversation. Who replaced Cronkite? It was Dan Rather.
Yeah, I remember him.
And he was indistinguishable from Cronkite when he took over. He's not dead. He's still tweeting. But look what has, if you look at Dan Rather, he is the biggest left-wing idiot in the world. And, if Cronkite had survived, he also would have been the biggest left-wing idiot in the world, because they are all very angry. They're stomping their feet that they no longer control the narrative in this country. And I say, that's a great thing.
You remind me of the neighbor that I had that I would prefer to talk to him in his garage rather than mine so I could leave.
Exit. You need an exit strategy.
Yeah, I don't know. I was like going, where could this thing go? Though I enjoyed every bit of it. Michelle, I would call the people in the room geniuses. There is, I hate to use the word circle jerk twice in one segment, but it really is it's just a self-congratulatory, masturbatory exercise,
Do you remember the band, the Circle Jerks?
Oh, of course.
You do.
Of course.
I'm going to make a little note here. Sidebar. I had my own little Trump protest back in 2022. I wrote in my Substack that I didn't think he should run again.
Oh, I remember that.
Remember that?
Yes.
Oh, God, even you remember that.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I thought we needed a more conventional kind of candidate. Clearly, I was wrong. All right? Clearly, I was wrong. Because only a non-traditional, disruptive candidate like Donald Trump could achieve all of the things he has achieved. And Rachel Maddow on the left, her head is exploding over this and has been exploding for years. And she's also really insulated from some of the benefits that he has brought to the American people, like the border being closed, like inflation not 9% like it was under Biden, like gas prices being under $3 for the first time in years, like peace, a ceasefire in the Middle East, which they were all championing until it happened, and now they're still
all gone.
It's all right. It's all gone. All of those things that he's accomplished were accomplished because he works his ass off every single day, as does his entire administration. And so Rachel's insulated from all that. She's really wealthy. She lives in a bubble. She doesn't appreciate the facts. Also, she said in her speech, she compared us to an authoritarian government. I'll just go on the record again and say I am very anti-authoritarian, and we do not have one, nor are we leaning that way. We are also not a pure democracy, Rachel. We are a republic, and you're looking at your watch, which means that I should stop.
No, I was.
But all I gotta say
I
is,
was drawing pictures.
oh, jeez.
All right, Scarfy McScarface. What do you got?
Why are you drawing pictures like you got a head injury? Why are you?
I draw them and then I put arrows to where the man touched me. You know what? I look at Rachel and I go, you know what? I never see her out with a guy, and I'm thinking, maybe she needs to get married.
That's what you think? First of all, I like that her and Jon Stewart got they got celebrated on the same day because they used the same barber.
Yes.
That saved you some money.
Yeah.
But yeah, Walter Cronkite, I thought it was a Walter Matthau thing.
Yes.
I'm more Matthau than Cronkite.
Yes. Why is that?
Because, he was in the first
Odd Couple,
that made the whole TV series, but it was the movie that was, a classic, American classic.
That is an American.
It still needed more black people in it, I think.
No, I think I like the fact there were no black people.
Yeah. He's talking about his apartment. Anyway, happy Kwanzaa.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for the gift. What a lovely tiny tree you gave me. That's right. The emergency room attendant got it out quickly.
Oh, God!
You were supposed to smoke that tree.
Oh, okay, let me one more question for you. And how come you kind of touched on this. How come we never see her in public? Is she that removed from the world?
Well, first of all, you don't go to Fire Island.
Yes.
But she's trying to keep. Once you talk all this stuff on TV, you don't want to be out there. I don't usually see you in the street.
That is true.
I never see you.
That is true.
Yes.
It's just I go from heliport to heliport.
Yeah, it must be nice.
Yes. And I don't even have a helicopter. I just like the sound of blades against the flesh of birds. Oh, hey, Kat, how you doing?
I'm doing very well.
That's great. How was your day?
It was okay.
Yeah. It's tough being a new mom, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
it is. But you're holding it together.
Yeah, and I feel like I look great. Don't I look like I have recipes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
Something pumpkin spice.
I look like you could come to me for recipes. You would be sorely mistaken.
Yeah, you look like a woman pretending to be a trad wife.
Well, listen, I would never pretend to be a trad wife, but I do look like I am one.
Yes,
right.
Yes. What is your take from this? Can you tell when somebody's unhappy? I look at Rachel Maddow, and I could see pain in her face.
Oh.
Well, I don't know. Here's the thing. The thing that drove me the craziest is when she said it's not easy to cover.
Yes.
First of all, not true. Second of all, you're the worst spokesperson for that ever. I mean, you make so much money, as you pointed out, for doing exactly this once a week. I don't know what she meant. I mean, like, what happens to people if you are critical of Trump? Like, there's like rooms you're not allowed in.
Yeah.
Are you like blackballed from Hollywood? In what world is it difficult to cover? And if it is, I don't understand like how she would see herself as. I mean, she's made herself very wealthy doing not just exactly this, but only this. This is all she does, and then she's gotten some success. But then to say that, I'm not just successful doing this, this is some really hard-fought battle, I don't think that's true.
I don't know if people realize this. She makes $25 million a year for one show.
It's unbelievable.
One show.
It's
And the
unbelievable.
audience share is maybe a third of this show. She makes $25 million for once a week, which if I did the math, I do 10 shows. 10 times 25, I would just be making $250 million, easily double what I'm making now.
And it took you longer than I thought to do 2 times 5.
You know what? Enough of this. No gift card for you this year. I saved $50.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.